So, my little witch puppet's coming along. The only part I'm really stumped with right now is these limbs. Everything else has been pretty simple to paint the color I want, but the problem with the limbs is I need it to match the color of the torso, the feet, and the head, but I also need it to remain flexible. I've narrowed my options down to three main techniques. The first technique is using silicone, which is this really rubbery material where you mix two chemicals together and it creates this solid form. An option I have is painting a thin layer of silicone on top of these limbs to give them the color but also the flexibility. Now, one issue I might have with that is that the silicone might absorb into the foam and give it a really weird texture, which would ruin the limbs and make it so I have to start again. The second option I have is using what's called liquid latex. Liquid latex is similar to silicone, it's a slightly different material, but what I would do is I would paint on thin layers of that latex and it would give that rubbery look to the arms. Now, a problem with liquid latex is it's harder to pigment than silicone is. I also have the potential that it will bleed into the fabric and the foam. It's also a cheaper material. It might flake and not be as durable overall. Now, the last option I have is using a fabric that matches the torso and head a little bit better, but then wrapping that fabric around the foam and gluing it in place. Now, this is used in a lot of puppet techniques, and it's faster, it's more flexible, there's a little bit more margin for error. But the problem with that is it might give the texture to my limbs that doesn't match the torso and head texture, and it might be distracting to the viewer. So yeah, those are my three main options. I'm gonna do some tests, see what works best. But in the meantime, I'm gonna start sewing her clothes and get her costume up and running. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.